Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I am playing the Tier 10 Dutch destroyer Tromp. I really feel like I'm starting to get this thing dialed in. It's certainly not a great player in it, but starting to get a hang for the weapon systems. I really feel like it would be helpful, not just to me, but to a lot of people, if they did something to make the airstrike a little bit more like the torpedo indicator, if that makes sense. I mean, they could do the same thing, but I really feel like there should be an indicator. It's really hard to judge where ships are going. You can tell, but you very often have a split second to decide what you're going to do and where you're going to drop them. And they take a long time to get there, just like torpedoes. It seems like a fair change to me, and it seems like I might have read something about that somewhere, so maybe they do plan to do that. If you know, drop it in the comments area below. I'd love to see something verifying that they are going to add some kind of indicator like they do for torpedoes. But as this game will demonstrate, even though the game didn't end the way that I had hoped, I had a pretty good game. Ended up with around 214,000 damage, I think, and had damage with basically everything: guns, torpedoes, and airstrikes. And I was able to make good use of the airstrikes because for a lot of the game, I was squaring off with opponents that were pushing. And that really, at least in my opinion, kind of is the strength of the airstrike capability. Because if people are running away from you, it's really, really tough because it takes so long to get there. You have to launch it way out ahead of them. You've only got 10 kilometers of range on these things. So really, realistically, if somebody's moving at full speed, you got to be like 7 kilometers, maybe 6 kilometers behind them, which is in a lot of cases going to mean you're detected. But when they're pushing at you, or when they're stuck behind a rock and you have visibility, now that's a threat. Marceau, really, really tough. The guns on the Tromp are decent, but not great. And as much as I would like to be able to provide our vampires some visibility on the Marceau, I'm a little leery of pushing out there broadside because there may be torpedoes coming in. You can see the vampire is sitting there broadside. Now Marceau turned around. I feel a little bit better about crossing here, but I still don't want to sit flat broadside. And there's the black. Now that's a good reason. Now I'm in a terrible position right here. The black's radar has a 7.5 kilometer range. I'm at 6.7 kilometers. Now I had to decide really quickly, do I try to turn and run? Well, if I do, that's going to be really difficult because I've got an island on my port side, which means I have to clear the island before I can run north and get out of the black's radar range. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be showing broadside to both the black and the Marceau, and maybe even the Annapolis, depending upon where his guns are pointed right now. So instead, I decided to just kind of sit tight, try to keep him visible, and let our vampire do some work. There's the radar, because he's focusing on the vampire. And I don't see any way to avoid all of these. I know I'm going to eat one. And you can see the Tromp does not handle especially well. So right there, in under 3 minutes, I've lost half my HP. And black is in the open, at least only for a second, but still I was able to get a volley away. His radar is down, and I need to get out of here because he is just pummeling me. And my damage control is on cooldown. This just has to burn. Crew first has his guns focused somewhere else. And I'm going to do what I can. So terrible start. Terrible. I got myself caught and lost, well, roughly what? 3/4 of my HP. I'm able to do a little damage to the crew first. But I'm going to spend the rest of this game playing reasonably cautiously because I pushed into the black. And that really cost me. I'm down to just under 8,000 HP. I've got a little bit of HP back. I can't start a fire and follow that up with a torpedo strike. Now those are torpedoes from the black. The torpedoes on the black are very, very slow, kind of like the Sims. So I'm at 8,700. Just gonna hope I can catch the Kurfürst's nose there. He's gonna have to move forward a little bit for me for that to work. And he is. Like I said, when they're pushing into you or around you, that's when you can really make this work. Now I realize I'm risking here because I'm back basically in the same place that I got myself caught. This time I'm not going to put my nose to the outside. My nose is going to stay to the inside. I'm not even going to bother trying to make a drop on the Marceau. So fast, so maneuverable. But I can get another airstrike off on the Kurfürst and follow that up with torpedoes. As Vampire just gets blapped by the Marceau. And I'm going to do my best to avoid getting detected by the aircraft, while at the same time putting a little distance between myself and the Marceau. Kurfürst is turning in, so I'm just going to get the guns ready, and maybe I can get a fire started as they go around the corner, assuming somebody doesn't take them out before then. You can see the traverse on these guns is really not great. And it looks like he's going to go behind the island. So I'll just try to get a fire started and then go dark. No fire, but I might be able to take care of it this way. Well, I wasted those, but I'm very glad that our Kurfürst was able to finish him off. Just over a minute, I'll have two more back up, and I can do it again. So we're down 3 ships. The bad guys are down 2. I've got 6.5 minutes in, 71,000 damage, which isn't too bad. I very nearly got myself knocked out of the game early. But, like I said, I feel like I'm starting to get a hang of this thing. I put 5 shells on target with the guns, and have managed 79 hits with bombs, which I feel pretty good about. I'm not trying to hit destroyers too much, unless I know that they're just kind of sitting still and smoke. I'm looking for bigger targets. It's not always easy. Cruisers are fairly maneuverable. Battleships are your best bet with these airstrikes, in my opinion. But I do manage a good smackdown on the Annapolis there, almost 10K. It was 9,700 and something. And that is one nice thing about these airstrikes on cruisers. They do seem to do significant damage when they hit. Now our De Grosse, he's pushing into torpedoes. I'm going to throw those outside, but Annapolis looks like he's turned back in. And I'm going to see if I can't hit him again. Trying to guess how far he'll turn and at what rate. That looks pretty good. Just miss Yugamo's torps. Their Shimakaze finishes off our Shimakaze. And maybe I can start a fire on the Annapolis. Does look like he's burning. So maybe he'll burn down. Let's hope. Now meanwhile, the bad guys now have a 2-ship advantage. We're down 4 ships. Auschwitz, Alaska, Shimakaze, and Vampire. Bad guys are only down the black and their Kurfürst. Their Shima and Annapolis are both in really bad shape. I'm hoping our Kurfürst and De Grosse can take care of the Annapolis. But as they come around that corner, I'm really hoping our Kurfürst straightens out of the line and isn't sitting broadside like that, because the Marceau's torpedoes hit hard. And I need to move back toward the cap. So we don't have anybody in the cap. Our Colombo's maybe the closest. Kremlin and Immelmann up on the B and the A lines. And Kurfürst does take out the Annapolis. It's now 4 ships down to 3 ships down. And I'm expecting to have competition for this boost area in the form of that Shimakaze. Yugamo's headed in. I wanted the Yugamo to know where the radio location skill is telling me the nearest ship is. He looks like he's reasonably well angled. Yugamo, I mean. Let's just hope he doesn't show broadside in here and get himself blacked. Schroeder finishes off our Colombo, and we're down now 5 ships. This is definitely not pretty. And he's not moving too quickly. It looks like he's going to try and get behind the island, so I want to place these where I think he's headed. And there's the Shimakaze. And we do catch him kind of looking our way. But Yugamo is sitting broadside. I'm going to try and use this island for cover on one side. And because he's sitting broadside, Yugamo gets blapped by a Shimakaze torpedo. And I'm going to try and keep my line fairly straight. I've slowed down to keep the island between myself and the Prussian. And Yugamo torps miss. And Sledge, I think, is probably going to get away here as I'm playing the game. I'm thinking, I'm not sure this thing has the firepower to finish him off as he's wiggling in the smoke. And Prussian just keeps getting closer and closer. And our Ohio goes down. So we've got a De Grosse and a Kurfürst. Kurfürst following the De Grosse like a puppy. Rarely a good sign. And I'm hoping to go dark here before Alsace or Schroeder decide to blab me. They seem to be focused on the Kremlin. Prussian is slowing down. Our Ohio does burn down their Montana, but their Alsace burns down our Kremlin. And throw this out on track, and then hope I can catch him with an airstrike. We'll see. Now, he's slowing down, so I don't think those airstrikes are going to hit. Now I've got a decision to make. Do I go into the cap proper, or do I stay on the fringe? And I'm going to stay on the fringe because, you know, there was a Yamato down there, and I don't want to push into the Yamato. I want to get eyes on the Yamato, and I have to stay far enough away from the person. There he is. These are Shima torps. Gotta hope I can move out of the way of those. And I get very lucky with the detonation on the Prussian. Now I'm looking at the Schroeder. They're going to finish that implement. And when they do, they're going to come south. I can't push south. Not yet, anyway. Yamato's turning in. I'm hoping he's going to park behind this island. Immelman goes down, so I need to really quickly push through that smoke, try and stay in the cap to contest it, and hope that I can do some damage to this Yamato. Put a few bombs on the Yamato, start a couple fires, but he puts them out right away. I've got 14 seconds until my next airstrike. You can see the Schroeder and the Alsace already moving this way. That's a really unlikely thing to be able to land those torpedoes, but I put them out there just in case, and I'm expecting to run into the Shima here. You can see where the radio location indicator is, and I'm radio located by the Shima, and I imagine he's probably pinging the map saying, hey, I think he's right here, which is why the Schroeder's taking the angle he is. So what I'm thinking now is I want to clear this island. I want to angle so that Schroeder has the island between me and him, and nobody really has a good shot on me. I'm hoping Alsace is kind of focused on the battleships. Hakuryu takes out our Kurfürst, and it's just me and the De Grosse. And the De Grosse is not going to last long. I got 3 seconds until I can drop another bit on the Yamato. Then I have to be prepped for the Shima, which I think is right around this corner. Yamato's guns are faced forward. There's the Shima. His guns are faced that way too. And he just smokes up right away. Now I'm visible because Alsace can see me. Yamato goes down. That Shima on the far side. He takes out our De Grosse, and I think that's probably the game. Had our DeGrossa taken out that Shima, I might have been in a position to be able to run south, but as it is right now, not going to happen. I should be able to finish the Shima here. And I'll try and use this smoke to go dark, but Schroeder's pushing in. I have to avoid his hydro and aircraft, and you get the idea. So this is not going to end well. Sitting at 211,000 damage and counting. This is going to end very abruptly. As soon as I get spotted by the Schroeder, his guns are pretty accurate. But I feel like I'm getting it dialed in. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't tried it, if you get the chance, I recommend it. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.
Расчеты ПВО в полной боевой готовности. Двигатель в штатном режиме. До конца боя осталось 5 минут.